Hey, Miles here, milesbeckler.com. This video is going to help you understand what is a blog, how does a blog work, and really the difference between blogs and websites. The ultimate goal is to help you understand if you need a blog, if you should be blogging today and into 2021. So again, my name is Miles Beckler. My wife and I co-founded a blog in 2010. 10 years later, as I'm recording this, it's reached over 40 million people and it has created a multi-million-dollar business. So obviously, I'm a fan of blogging, but there's some misunderstandings. What's a blog versus a website? So the origination of the blog concept was the early web pioneers. They wanted to keep a log of what they were doing, whether they were coding something, whether they were learning something new. They wanted to keep a journal, and that's the best way to think of a blog. It's an online journal, so all of the posts or the entries, everything you write on a blog is ordered chronologically, and the goal was to help that creator to be able to go back through their little journal and follow their own path from newbie to expert, right? From zero to hero. You hear some experts today talking about document, don't create. Document the process. Whether you're a mom of 3 and you want to live in a chemical-free home, you can document the process of the little things you're doing, how to make your own sunscreen if you want to get away from the weird stuff in sunscreen, etc., etc. And this web log that you're creating, this blog that you create, ultimately, it's there for you to go back. That's the original version of the blog, is for the creator to be able to go back through and be like, okay, what was I thinking then? Where was I then? Just like a diary or a journal used to be in the kind of pen and paper world. But what we have today is the ability for Google and the other search engines to index our content. Indexing is when Google goes and reads your content and understands what it's about. Then when somebody is searching a specific keyword phrase like, how do I make chemical-free sunscreen at home? If that's what your post is about and Google sees your post as the authoritative post on that topic, Google is going to display your blog post to that searcher. And this is how you get traffic from Google with a blog, which today, that's the main goal of a blog. And why do people use blogs versus websites? Or maybe a better question is, what's the difference between a blog and a website? And it's important to remember that every blog is a website, but not every website is a blog. And there's many websites that you use, whether it's Facebook or your online banking or your email system. Those are websites and they're web applications, but they're not necessarily blogs. Blogs are what creators use, what independent publishers use. People like me, my wife who's super interested in spirituality and meditation, authors, Seth Godin's in the world, they just write to share their ideas. Sometimes it's talking about political banter. Sometimes it's talking about economics and macroeconomics. Other times it's specific how-to step-by-step stuff, like we were talking about the mom blog and the sunscreen example that we had. Cooking, recipes, it all fits into a blog. So do you need a blog or a website? For most independent creators and small bricks and mortar businesses, you can build both of them best on WordPress. Now on WordPress, this is a content management system, okay? And there's 2 versions of WordPress, and this confuses a lot of people. Number 1 is WordPress.com. Now this is a managed solution where there's a corporate company called Automatic, they own WordPress, and they will run the hosting for you. What's hosting? Web hosting is essentially the virtual real estate. It's the server space that the website lives on. So WordPress.com, they offer it to you for free. There's a lot of upsells and they try to sell you other things, but they manage that for you. Now, I'm not a fan of this, but it is an option and it's something you need to know of. Another hosted blogging solution is something like Blogger, or even Tumblr was a blogging platform back in the day. But then there's WordPress.org. Now, WordPress.org is a nonprofit organization also run and managed by Automatic, which is $1 billion company. And what I like about the WordPress.org is that you own the code, that you host it on the server of your choice, and that you have full control. And what this means is that no one can ever turn you off. And a lot of people today are using platforms like Instagram or Facebook for microblogging. And they share their thoughts and they share their opinions, and sometimes they write long posts on these platforms. But the truth is that Zuckerberg and the shareholders of those corporations, they own your content and they can turn you off at any point in time when they deem that you're going against their will. And I'm sure you've heard of people on YouTube getting shut down, and people on Twitter getting shut down, and people on Facebook and fan pages getting shut down. It happens. This is a core understanding that you must have if you're thinking about building an audience, sharing your ideas with the world through the web. You need to have at least one home online that you own. And I personally believe that a WordPress.org, a self-hosted WordPress blog, is the absolute best way to go about it. Now, the cool part is today, it's really easy to get this set up. And if you choose the right hosting companies, you can just get set up for as little as $10 to get started, and ultimately they will even install WordPress for you. Now, I've got a link in the video description below that takes you to a step-by-step blog post that I've made that teaches you exactly how to get going if you're ready and you do want to start a blog. It's literally $10 for the hosting and then free themes, and I teach specifically how to get your blog set up in a way that Google is going to fall in love with it. Okay, and here's really the main point I want you to take away. If you have just a basic website, and think of it as a brochure. Let's say you run a mountain bike rental company in Lake Tahoe, okay, in Nevada side of Lake Tahoe in Incline Village, and you want to promote that. One option is to run a website, which would be maybe a 4 or 5 page website, and it's a home page, it's who we are, it's the About Us page, it's the Contact Us page, and the pricing page. And that's it, and it never changes. Now, you can build this on WordPress very effectively, very easily, but you could also hand code it. You could build it with a software tool like Dreamweaver or other tools, which are fairly complex. And I don't necessarily recommend that approach because Google wants to see constantly updated content. We live in an ever-changing world. And as you're watching this video right now, you maybe have watched several videos about what is a blog or how do blogs work, or you're trying to learn about blogging. And maybe you've seen some past videos and you're like, this thing was recorded in 2014. Is this still relevant today? And everyone has that same thought that you have in that moment, okay? And that's where putting lots of great new content out through your blog is required for long-term success. So we could talk about the mom blogger talking about all of her recipes she's learning about natural recipes. She's getting into organic gardening in her backyard, and she's sharing everything she's learning to live a more natural and carefree, chemical-free home, for example. But that bike shop on the North Shore of Lake Tahoe, why would it make sense for them to be blogging? Well, I'm recording this late in the year. We're in fall season. Is the weather good in Tahoe for biking? What trails stay open even after snow falls in the higher kind of elevations of the Tahoe Mountains? What bikes do you have in stock? Are you selling any of your bikes? There's all of these little bits of information that you can continue as a business owner to publish that seed Google, okay, that indexing process of Google. It seeds Google with more understanding of what you're about, what you do, and how you help other people. And as Google reads dozens or hundreds of posts on your website, you become more authoritative than the websites that simply have those 5 pages. And that's how we, my wife and I, in our first blog, that's how we really began generating upwards of 800,000 visits per month, which is approximately what we get today, which is something like 4 or 5 million visits per year. And it's from the fact that she's published 1,000 blog posts on an extremely wide variety of topics over the course of the last 10 years, which breaks down to about 100 posts per year, okay? Which breaks down to, 2 posts per week on average. And this repetition, this constant publishing, this keeping a log of her personal journey on the path of spirituality and meditation and her musings and her ideas and her thoughts. Not every blog post works and drives lots of traffic. Some of them do, but Google is paying attention to the entire website, and a website that isn't growing in content, a website that isn't getting updated regularly is kind of considered to be an abandoned project by Google. And if Google thinks you are an abandoned project and your competitor is constantly updating their website, your competitor is going to get the lion's share of the traffic, which is why you need to be blogging today in 2021 and beyond. And it's easier than ever, again, as I said, to start a blog. The right hosting companies will actually install WordPress for you. They'll put a free theme in for you. The main parent company, Automatic, which runs the WordPress.org, they have free themes that are absolutely fantastic, like the 2020 theme, fantastic free theme. You can literally get everything going for just the cost of hosting. And there's a few things you're going to learn as you start down this process of blogging. Number one, you're going to learn how to publish content on the web. Now, whether that piece of content you just published ranks well and drives lots of traffic or not, you're learning a skill. And this is one of the most valuable and important skills today because the bulk of person-to-person communication is happening through the web. And when you have a blog side project, and you go to apply for a job and you tell them about your extracurricular adventures and what you're doing on the blog, I think students applying for colleges, for Ivy League colleges, having these blogs is a way to show that you're the kind of person who takes action. It's also a way to show that you're really interested in the newer age of things. But the most the most exciting part of it is that you can grow an audience. And when you grow an audience of people who are showing up to your blog looking to you for information like chemical-free sunscreen and gardening at home, this is how mom bloggers are able to create audiences in the millions, and they generate six figures and sometimes multiple six figures per year. Now, if you have questions about what a blog is versus a website, get at me in the comments below. Leave me your question in the comment. I do answer as many comments as I can. Ultimately, I hope this has been helpful for you to really understand and distinguish what the blog is versus the website is, why a self-hosted WordPress.org blog is the key, and why that kind of perpetual publishing to the blog is what Google wants to see in order to continue to drive new visitors to your website, bring new audience members into your ecosystem on the long term. Also, building the skills of publishing online today is going to serve you for a lifetime, regardless of what you get into. It has changed my life in a major way, and I think it's a great practice for young entrepreneurs and for old entrepreneurs alike to really get in the habit of publishing your ideas, okay? Share your ideas with the world. Put that journal out. Put a log of what you're doing. Document the process of your hobbies, of what you're learning, what you're doing professionally, what's going on in your world, in your local environment, in your local business world. If you're a local business, that is what will position you as the authoritative website in your space in the eyes of Google. And when you obtain that positioning, that's when you get all of the traffic. And that's the big key to everything. In the next video that's going to pop up here on the end screen, I will show 17 very successful blogs, some of which are making over $1 million per year. That's over $100,000 per month, actually $83,000 per month. So click on that if you want to see some examples of blogs. And I just hope this has been helpful. Any questions, get at me in the comments. Lots of links in the description. I've curated the links in the description to give you more bits and pieces depending on where you are and what you're interested in next. Again, my name is Miles Beckler. If this is your first video of mine, welcome to the channel. Click like, subscribe. I do appreciate you. I put out as many helpful videos as I can to help you build the business of your dream online. It's all 100% free, 630 videos as of this moment, and I'm putting them out every single week. Subscribe, hit the bell. I'll see you on the next video. Till then, be well.